right, welcome to another episode of Bro History. It is Henry Zamota as well as Danny Abdel-Jabbar.
Yeah, got it right.
I finally got it right after 4 years, or 5 years at this point, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's tough. It's tough to get complicated last names right, and especially when I don't get your first name right either. So it just sets
especially when you get your own last name wrong.
Yeah, I'm not smart, is what you could say. I'm not a smart man, but I do know what love is. What's that from?
Forrest Gump.
That is from Forrest Gump. So welcome to another episode of Bro History. Sorry for not releasing an episode yesterday. Sunday was WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
So there happened to be a WrestleMania party at my studio. So I couldn't record it because it was too loud.
Well, that's okay because right now you're coming to us live from Westeros, so it's all good.
Yes. Did you happen to watch any WrestleMania?
I didn't. I don't have pay-per-view. I don't do that.
So I haven't watched wrestling. I watch WrestleMania every single year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize yesterday was actually WrestleMania. I was surprised by it, but that's the only wrestling event I'll typically watch. And man, I miss it, man. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah?
I forgot how fun it was.
Who was the main event?
It was Ronda Rousey.
Huh.
Versus Ric Flair's daughter.
Woo!
And the third girl who won was this Irish chick. I forgot her name, but she goes by The Man. Is her wrestler name? I forgot her real name.
The Man.
No, it's The Man.
That's awesome.
So it was the first time that females headlined WrestleMania in WWF or WWE history. So it was pretty cool. I just forgot how ridiculous wrestling was. Like,
yeah,
how silly and funny and cool it is. Shane McMahon was jumping off huge platforms and landing on tables. The guy's a billionaire, and he still does that.
Shane or Vince?
Shane,
son?
the son.
Ah.
The son does it. I don't think Vince McMahon would probably die if he did that. He's like 75 years old.
Yeah, he's pretty old at this point.
But Shane McMahon's like 50, and he does it. There was sledgehammers. There was chairs. There was...
was there a Hell in the Cell?
No, there was no Hell in the Cell. That's a separate event.
Mm.
But it was super cool. There was this one ridiculous match where one of the wrestlers picked up and started spinning him in like a merry-go-round. He started spinning him, and he spinned him for about 3 minutes straight. It was unbelievable.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll play the video on the YouTube feed right now just because it was so silly. I had to videotape it. I had to go back and I had to watch it. So yeah, WrestleMania was cool. I forgot how awesome professional wrestling is. Not saying I'm going to start watching Monday Night Raw and I think Thursday SmackDown. Not saying I'm going to watch that every single day or every Monday and Thursday. However, I will gladly watch any pay-per-view event. Those are fun.
That's awesome.
So today we're actually doing something that's a little bit different than our usual podcast. So Danny and I are both huge Game of Thrones fans. We've talked about this a bunch of times, and we were talking about doing a Game of Thrones episode. But we still didn't want to, obviously, do just a Game of Thrones episode. We wanted to keep it in the spirit of our podcast.
Right.
So we came up with this idea of doing Game of Thrones characters compared to world leaders. Or vice versa. I don't know. Is it world leaders compared to Game of Thrones characters? Or?
Yeah, I think it's, anything goes. Obviously, we're definitely going to talk about some comparisons of characters and world leaders. But, I mean, we might even talk, if we have some time, talk about, like, the different tribes or peoples or groups of peoples and relate them to groups here and now. And I think that could be a cool comparison as well. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we made a spreadsheet and we were kind of sharing it and we were looking at each other's cases or comparisons and some of them were the same, some of them were different, and I guess we'll just go through the list and see where it goes. This is the first Game of Thrones podcast that we ever did or that we are going to do. So hopefully this doesn't end up completely off the rails, and we achieve we achieve the goal of I don't even know what the goal is. We're just gonna work through it and see what happens.
That's it.
So I'll start with the first person I have on the list in this little Google Doc. So Robert Baratheon. Oh yeah. By the way, obviously, if you guys aren't Game of Thrones fans or not caught up,
huge spoiler alerts.
Most
ahead.
likely, we're gonna spoil something. So just we're gonna talk about current Game of Thrones events. Yeah. So don't watch the rest of the season. It starts on Sunday, right? Or Monday?
Yep.
This Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay.
This Sunday.
Sunday. Game of Thrones. All right. So Robert Baratheon.
This one I had the same one as you, actually.
Yeah. So Robert Baratheon, we're gonna go with Donald Trump.
Wonderful.
So
I'm the king.
You might be asking why. How does Robert Baratheon and Donald Trump? How do they compare to each other?
I can already hear the liberals screaming about this.
Yeah, he's Joffrey. I feel like that's what you wanted to put him at first.
I mean, yeah, but then I thought about it more closely, and I'm like, I just don't like Trump, and that's why I'm trying to attribute him to a shitty character. But when you brought this up initially, you really sold me on it. So maybe you can start and kind of talk a little bit about why you think Robert Baratheon is Trump, and then I'll chime in.
Okay, so Robert Baratheon was the pretty vulgar, charismatic leader of the rebellion that ousted the Mad King from Westeros. However, when he actually got the throne, he was kind of indifferent to it.
Right,
he didn't really want to lead. And I think he had the thrill. Robert Baratheon he had the thrill of leading a rebellion and ousting out the swamp per se. And I think Donald Trump kind of compares to that. Donald Trump, hate him or love him, the guy is pretty damn charismatic. You can't take away that from him. He's pretty vulgar,
right?
And
he's fat. They're both
fat. He's fat. We're not doing just physical appearances. We're doing it like a timeline. But he drained a swamp, and it was like a thrilling campaign. However, when he got into power, I personally don't think Donald Trump really cares all that much about the campaign promises that he made or cares to actually be president. I think he just likes to kind of play golf and tweet and do all the fun glamour things that's involved with being the president. However, I don't think he's really
fuck girls and crack skulls, as Robert Baratheon once said.
Yes. So I think that Robert Baratheon and Donald Trump I think that's a pretty solid match.
Yeah, I think so too. And this is coming from someone who's not a Trump fan and kind of likes Robert Baratheon. I think to add to that, what Robert Baratheon did, and for those who aren't caught up and are crazy enough to continue watching, he started this whole rebellion because his betrothed was evidently stolen from him by Rhaegar Targaryen, the son of the Mad King. So he rallied together a bunch of houses and basically started a fucking rebellion. Now, rallying together all those houses is like how I envision what Trump did during the 2016 election. That was like creating a populist uprising, right, on the right, to basically what they claimed to do is drain the swamp and those fun things, even though he didn't do that at all, in my opinion. Neither Trump nor Baratheon, for that matter. So when you think about it, like he obviously did it for a selfish intention, right? And that was because someone stole his betrothed and she died. We later find out that she was in love with Rhaegar Targaryen. R plus L equals J, right? That part isn't so important for this point, though. What is important is that Robert Baratheon started a war for selfish reasons. Trump started his presidency for selfish reasons. It was all about him. It's all about his ego. Only he could, save the United States. And then he made a populist kind of uprising, and that would be the rebellion, in Game of Thrones, the early rebellion. And then when he got there, rather than draining the swamp, in my opinion. He just kept the swamp around. Same thing with Robert Baratheon. You know, if you look at his small council, at least early on in the thing, we had Grand Maester Pycelle, who is probably the swampiest of the swamp people, right? Very old, ugly, dirty man. You know, you still had Viserys, not Viserys, Varys, right? And a number of other of the establishment that was just still surrounding him. And then by the time Robert Baratheon gets in power, sits on the throne, or in this case, Donald Trump sitting on the White House's Iron Throne, you know, he basically just checks out. He's like, all right, cool, I won, you know, and he doesn't shy away from talking about how he won a rebellion, right? And Trump doesn't shy away from talking about his electoral college win. So, you know, there's a lot of comparisons there. And I got to say, you know, the whole having lots of bastards thing, I would be surprised if Donald Trump had a bunch of bastards running around. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You got to spot the hair. That guy, look at his hair. He's a Trump bastard. Oh, yeah, so yeah, he kept Jaime as Kingsguard, whatever position Jaime had. What was it?
Kingsguard, right?
Leader of the head of the Kingsguard, or captain of the Kingsguard. He kept him in there. He kept Littlefinger's in there. He kept Lord Varys in there. He kept all those people in there, kind of like keeping like the neocons in, you know, like keeping
the establishment folk,
the establishment folks, which I think is a good segue to the next guy I wanted to address. I don't know if we agree on this one or not. So, but I had on my list, I have Littlefinger's and
Littlefinger, singular.
Littlefinger. Oh, he's Littlefinger? Okay.
Singular, yeah.
Littlefingers. I have Littlefingers as John Bolton.
Okay.
And Lord Varys.
No, one at a time. All
right, Littlefinger.
Let's stick with Littlefinger.
All right, Littlefinger is John Bolton.
All right. I disagree, but why?
Just because he's just kind of swampy, and both have mustaches. I know we're not supposed to do it purely off physical appearance, but looks definitely did it. He's definitely like a whisperer. He has a way of whispering in leaders' ears. Like John Bolton, I think he whispers into Trump's ear to make him do warmongering stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's my justification.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's that. I personally put Littlefinger as Michael Cohen. And the reason why is because, like Littlefinger, Michael Cohen operates close to those in power until it doesn't serve him, and will flip at any point to save his ass, and do and say anything to save his ass, and will undercut anyone to save his ass, right? Whether he's working for Trump or whether he's working, you know, with the special counsel Robert Mueller, you know, he seemed to do whatever was in his own best interest, and he was very selfish in that respect. And just the proximity to, you know, to the highest authorities really did it for me, for Michael Cohen.
It's a fair point. I think that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah.
I think we can argue. I think so. I think people in the comment section are going to have to chime in on this one, because we want to get an accurate list of all this stuff. We want to get like a full breakdown of every single world leader / politician compared to their Game of Thrones. We want to do every single character eventually, so we're going to need help from the comment section here. But who is Littlefingers? Is he Michael Cohen, or is he John Bolton, or is he somebody else?
Let us know. And also, I want to point out before we continue any further, just because we have Robert Baratheon as Trump, for example, and I think that's one that we agree on, doesn't mean that Melania Trump is Cersei Lannister, right? Those relationships in the show don't have to carry through in the relationships, you know, in real life, right? But bonus points if you can make those connections.
Yeah, bonus points if you can make it nice and neat. All right, Lord Varys, the other advisor. Now, I didn't really think this one through after you gave your explanation on John Bolton, now that I'm thinking. But I said he's Mike Pompeo, mainly just because they kind of look alike. I know, again, we're not supposed to do it based off looks. But he, again, is like kind of like a political operator who sneaks behind the scenes. And Michael Cohen may be a eunuch. I mean, not Michael Cohen. Mike Pompeo might be
Pompeo.
a eunuch. He might have been castrated as a young boy. So I thought that he could be Lord Varys. And Mike Pompeo kind of does have a bit of a conflicting message as far as his foreign policy is concerned. Sometimes he's super warmongering. Sometimes he kind of speaks with a little bit of reason. However, I think that Lord Varys, this is my prediction, Lord Varys is going to end up back doing some dirty shit in the later season of Game of Thrones. I don't know if you can you see that?
I don't know. I don't think so. I definitely, when Melisandre told him on the rocks, like, we both have to die in this country, that definitely gave me a tip that, like, okay, you're definitely dying. But as far as him doing something bad, and this is where I don't agree with your comparison of Lord Varys to Mike Pompeo. He might be flipping around a lot, but he seems to have a bit of a moral compass, even if the ways that he exercises that moral compass is a little fucked up. So like I don't see Mike Pompeo as like a positive actor in the background. Like I see him as selfish. We'd also need to find somebody that can and does work for more than one side to be Lord Varys, and I think that's probably a more important linchpin for pitting somebody to Lord Varys than anything. And I just don't see Mike Pompeo as an actor that would have, say, went over to the Democratic side at some point, or that would go to the Democratic side at one point because he found it politically expedient or because he finds it to be the right thing to do. I just don't see that.
All right. So would a better Lord Varys be somebody like Bill Kristol?
Maybe. What do you think? What are you thinking there?
Well, Bill Kristol, Bill Kristol is a neocon. Well, I mean, if you're saying that Lord Varys has a moral compass, then Bill Kristol, I think, does not have a moral compass. So maybe that kind of eliminates him from that. However, but you see a lot of neocons now. They're kind of playing. They were hardcore Republicans, and now they're kind of becoming more mainstream liberals. Mm-hmm. Because it's just more politically expedient, and they have a common enemy in Donald Trump, and they kind of use that to they kind of bash him like the old school neo. There's like a separation between the old school neocons, which I would include like Bill Kristol and Max Boot and those guys, and the new school neocons, which are kind of like Pompeo, John Bolton, Nikki Haley. There's like a difference between like the neocon category. I guess maybe John Bolton wouldn't technically be considered a neocon. He's more of kind of just like a war hawk conservative. Yeah. Yeah. And that might be a better name for him. However, this is like Lord Varys, who is somebody in the political spectrum who plays both sides of the aisle, but in a kind of manipulative way.
But with like an underpinning of like, the reason why he's doing this is because he sees a grander, positive thing out of it, right? Trying to make a better world.
Well, I think that eliminates every single politician in the world because there's very few that do things for positive recourse.
Well, so, I mean, many of them might believe that they're doing things for a positive recourse. Objectively speaking, whether or not they're actually doing something positive is up for debate. But I think you would have to find somebody who has flipped sides, who did so with the rationale that they were doing the right thing, not necessarily that they were doing it because it was like good for them politically. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
but also does some shady shit, right? Like orders executions and shit, right? Maybe ordering drone strikes, like things like that.
Yeah. Who's a good? This is a good one. I don't know. Do you want to brainstorm this more, or do you want to go on to one that we agree on?
Let's move on. Let's maybe do that number 2 on your list and my list because we agree on this one.
Okay. All right. So, who do you think Vladimir Putin is?
There's only one person in my opinion.
There's only one person in my mind as well.
Yeah.
And every single person I've consulted on this episode said the same exact thing.
It's Tywin Lannister. Yep.
Tywin Lannister.
Yep.
All right. Why don't you take us through, Danny? Why is Vladimir Putin Tywin Lannister?
Well, I mean, I know we're not supposed to do this on looks, but like I did, I sent you a bunch.
We did it.
Let's start there,
dude.
Let's
All right. Let's just say we should have just said in the beginning we're basing a lot of this off looks as well as character.
Who looks like they could be Tywin Lannister? Definitely Vladimir Putin. No, okay. So the reason why the looks part is like remember I sent you over the weekend a couple of mock-ups of like some images, and we'll pop it into the video now, but it just looks right. Like Putin's face and you know the Tywin Lannister face, they both have this kind of serious, creepy, like don't fuck with me, command respect kind of look, you know. But outside of the looks, though, you know, Tywin Lannister is like this old school, like warrior, you know, kind of guy, right? And he's big military dude. He has a very specific way of playing the military game. He has a very specific, allegiance to his, you know, to his house. And I guess you can say the same thing about Vladimir Putin. I mean, he's former KGB, very old school way of thinking, you know, very old school way of doing war, you know, but also willing to kind of, you know, be diplomatic and make alliances with different countries, strategic alliances with different countries, even if he doesn't like them very much, but just so that he can get one over and gain the upper hand for his house, or I guess in Vladimir Putin's case, for his country, or for himself, frankly. And he's fucking rich. I mean, by many accounts, Vladimir Putin might be the richest person on the planet, but because he keeps his money in multiple different people's accounts that you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, and I'll just add that Vladimir Putin is a hardcore Russian nationalist.
Right.
Tywin Lannister is a hardcore Lannister nationalist, or whatever you want to call it, Westeros nationalist, a Lannister
Westerosi.
nationalist,
Yep.
loyal to the Lannister clan, but they're both hardcore, self-serving to their tribes.
Right.
So I think they're a perfect comparison. I don't know who else would be Tywin Lannister besides Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
So I think that is case shut. Vladimir Putin, Tywin Lannister, that's on the list. Forever, set in stone, not changing.
Definitely.
All right, so we got Robert Baratheon, Trump, set in stone. We got Tywin Lannister, Vladimir Putin, set in stone. Should we go into something that we...
I got one that I think you won't agree with, but I want to talk about anyway.
Okay.
All right, so we got to talk about Hillary Clinton and her emails. Who do you think Hillary Clinton is?
I think that she can be one of two characters.
Hit me.
She's either... The obvious one would be Cersei Lannister.
Okay.
Just because Cersei Lannister is an evil bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary's an evil bitch. So I think that's a pretty good match. They both are just craving power. They both feel entitled because of their heritage and their last name. So I think that is, the obvious one, or the one that would pop in most people's minds. But I would go as far as calling her Ramsay Bolton as well, just because Ramsay Bolton's a sicko, and you know, by all accounts, Hillary, I feel is kind of a sicko.
I think your politics is showing on that explanation.
My politics is showing, but listen, man, we got a pretty split audience of like people who are libertarians and people who are progressives.
Yeah.
So this is an entire unit that hates Hillary Clinton. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Like progressives hate Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you were closer to the truth with Cersei Lannister. Now, I personally put her as Daenerys Targaryen.
That's nuts to me.
But for the same reason that you pointed out for Cersei Lannister, I think both Cersei and Daenerys Targaryen feel a distinct entitlement to the throne, or I guess in Hillary Clinton's case, to the presidency, based on name alone. And that's true for both of those characters. But depending on the frame that you view Hillary Clinton from, you can go with either she's a bad person, which is why you're saying Ramsay Bolton, or you can say that she is a good person. Daenerys Targaryen. So, like, for all the
There's
liberals
like
out there,
10
they're probably
people who
backing me
call
up
her
here.
good people.
She's the mother of dragons for a lot of people, you know?
No, she's not. She's one of the most unpopular politicians of all time.
I mean, if we're talking about popularity, she did win the popular vote. So
yeah, because they didn't want to vote for Donald
say that.
Trump, but she wasn't
still,
popular.
That's pretty popular to me, I think. What is it, like 3
No,
million votes?
she was just someone who happened to be the leader of the Democratic Party because of the Clinton dynasty. It wasn't because she was popular. Most Democrats were like, they reluctantly voted for her.
Well, I mean, I think most Westerosi people would reluctantly go for Daenerys Targaryen's claim to the throne because of her name. Because she's the rightful heir in that respect.
Yeah, but they see people. I think a lot of people see the Clintons as this parasitic entity that's trapped in American politics, and I think that there is a lot of rejoice in this country when we saw the end of the two political dynasties that basically ran the White House over the past 20 years, the Bushes and the Clintons. So I think that she is a symptom of like this parasitic family that goes through power. I'm convincing myself more now that she's Cersei Lannister.
Well, I mean, you're making, in my opinion, you're making the case for both, because both the Lannisters and the Targaryens were like these big dynastic parasites on Westeros, right? So it's like, it depends on where you view your frame, your political frame. I think we've got a split decision here. She's all the reasons that you brought up why she might be Cersei Lannister. I can use the same exact reasons for why she might be Daenerys Targaryen. And so for those reasons, I think we should agree that she's definitely not Ramsay Bolton, but she's either Daenerys Targaryen or Cersei Lannister.
Okay, I can't agree. I can't agree with Daenerys Targaryen. I gotta put my this is my hill to die on this list. Any other one I'll be able to negotiate with, but I can't mentally. And yeah, it's my political skew. It's obviously showing right now. I cannot not object to that statement and go to sleep at night. I can't compare Hillary Clinton to a redeeming character in the show, or one of the very few redeeming characters in the series. So I think that we're gonna have to leave it up to people who are watching this and let them comment on it. I'm confident that there's not a single person who's watching this video who's going to say Hillary Daenerys.
Well, we'll see who this gets around to. We'll see.
All right.
All right. Let's move on to something that I think we would agree on, and that's our pick for the High Sparrow.
Okay, this is a good one. We agree with this one.
Okay. So, the one person that I have in mind, this is literally the only person that I think you can be for the High Sparrow, and that's Bernie Sanders. So, when you think about it, Bernie Sanders, and I'm going to try to quote as close to the show as possible, the High Sparrow wanted to bring more power to what he calls the many, or what Bernie would call the 99%, and hold the few, or the millionaires and billionaires, to account for their crimes, right? He's all about populism, socialism, pluralism, really. And, you know, frankly, going back to the obvious point, he kind of looks like him, too.
Yeah, he kind of does look like him. Also, the friction between, this is going back to my point with Cersei on Hillary Clinton, the friction between the High Sparrow and Cersei, the friction between the two bases. Oh, I think this is making my case even more for Hillary Clinton is
Cersei.
Is Cersei, because the friction between the High Sparrow, obviously he kind of wanted to give power more to the people, and he saw this corrupt Lannister monarchy as something that was, again, I'll say a parasite. I don't actually even know if that was his motive. Maybe in the books it was different, but he didn't like them, and she didn't like them.
But they worked together initially.
They worked, yeah. They eventually worked together. Hillary and Bernie eventually worked together,
right? And then he sent her on a naked walk of shame. Shame. Ding ding ding.
Show me your email. Show me the transcripts. Show me the transcripts, Hillary.
I don't give a damn about her emails. Ding ding ding.
All right. We agree with that one. I don't think there's an objection.
No.
Objection with Bernie Sanders, probably somebody's going to object to it, but whatever.
It's like,
Any
Bernie
good
Sanders is
feedback?
actually Jon Snow.
Bernie Sanders is Jon Snow. Whoa.
Yeah. He's Rob Stark. He's Ned. He's Ned Stark. No, just because you're in a political affiliation doesn't mean your candidate gets the good character.
So your number 5 is pretty good, and I didn't think of this one, but I like your number 5.
Oh, yeah. I came up with this I was reading a WikiLeaks article, an old school one, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I know who Julian Assange is. He's Bran Stark.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or a combination of Bran Stark and a three-eyed raven.
Well, I mean,
I guess they're the same. They're the same person at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Julian Assange knows all.
Knows everything.
Oh, yeah, Julian Assange. He's also isolated in the Uruguay embassy
in the UK.
in the UK. So he's like this isolated creature who knows all, who probably has all this dirt, but he doesn't have the means to distribute it at this point anymore.
I could totally see Julian Assange just chilling in that tree, in the werewood tree. Just tapped into the werewood net, you know? Give me WikiLeaks.
I know everything. What does he say in Game of Thrones? You need to learn. Learn what? Learn everything? Is that it?
I don't remember. We'll have to go back to the tapes.
I'm paraphrasing it. I got to rewatch that. That was the best season of Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah.
Hodor. Hodor. Oh, Hodor. You got a funny one for Hodor. Who did you have? I don't see this on the spreadsheet, but you had a funny one for Hodor.
Hodor?
Yeah.
I had Eric Trump as Hodor. There's no really good reason. I just think Eric Trump's an idiot. And
that's a pretty good one.
So, Hodor.
I think
I'm Eric Hodor.
Because Eric Trump doesn't say that much anyway. Donald Trump Jr. does most of the talking for the Trump voice.
Yeah. So he might as well be Hodor. He has about as many lines.
So let's do Jared Kushner.
Oh God. Yeah. All right. Sure.
I think we agree with this one, and other people.
It's a soft agreement, but I think it's more funny than anything else.
All right, Jared Kushner is Marjorie Tyrell.
Again, we can bend gender. We can, it doesn't have to have house affiliation, but I kind of like this one. I kind of like this.
Well, also by looks, Jared Kushner has a very soft baby face. He's kind of a pretty man. He's a very pretty man. All right. So the reason why I think that Jared Kushner is Marjorie Tyrell because they want Marion to power. Yep. And they're both from super rich families that want to marry in and extend their power. Mm-hmm. Like Jared Kushner did too.
Yeah, Jared Kushner doesn't want to be a queen. He wants to be the queen.
Yeah, the queen.
So he married into the daughter of the king so that he could become queen. No, I mean, it's a good comparison. I mean, it's true. I feel like obviously Kushner family, like they were rich to begin with, but really that was like a power move, like him marrying Ivanka. And even more so now that Donald Trump is the president, just using his little his lady parts to get ahead in life.
All right. So let's do. We don't have that many people on the list. There's so many characters.
There's so many of them that I literally couldn't put my finger on. All right, but here's one that I thought was pretty close. So Olenna Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns, right? I pinned this one as Angela Merkel. And the reason why I did is because right now Germany's the most like financially stable country in the EU. So he has a ton of money, right? And like Olenna Tyrell, Angela Merkel ain't taking any of your shit, Like she's running shit. She's a powerful bitch, and she also kind of looks like Olenna Tyrell, frankly. And I did a really funny mock-up. I'll put it up on here now. But I mean, come on, doesn't this look like Angela Merkel.
Yeah, she does. Merkel kind of looks like a oldish hag. Here's the thing, though. All right, so Tyrell, old lady, she is very like witty and sharp on the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Merkel sounds like a robot.
There's a language barrier for you. She is pretty sharp. She is pretty sharp.
Does she have sharp comebacks?
Yeah, in her native German, like she's pretty sharp.
I just remember here's like the first thing I think of when I think of Merkel. There was this. She was doing a talk, and she was talking to a bunch of Syrian refugees. And this little girl gets up and she has the microphone. She's like, I want to go to school here. I've got good grades in Syria, all this stuff. And she was hysterically crying. And you felt really horrible for this young girl who seemed by all accounts like a very nice young girl and probably from a good family that was educated. Mm-hmm. And she was crying. And Merkel's like starts saying, "Sorry, little girl. I know you cry, but we can't take all of you. It was like a robotic. It was just so weird. And this girl's crying. She's like, I'm sorry, little girl, you cry because you're sad, but we can't take all of it. It was so weird.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, Olenna Tyrell does do some fucked up shit, even though she has plenty of money. You know,
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't call it fucked up. It was just.
Well, I mean, hear me out. So for the people, like, so Olenna Tyrell, when Loras Tyrell got caught, and by the High Sparrow, and he's like in those dungeons, she goes to Cersei Lannister and she says like, "Yo, get him out, or else," and then basically, Cersei's like, well, I can't do anything about it. And basically she says, I'll just stop giving, the King's Landing money and grain and wheat and shit. And I'll make sure that all the people know that, like, you're the reason why. So, like, she's willing to starve millions of people in King's Landing for herself. So, I mean, like, that's kind of like turning away the Syrian, little Syrian refugee girl because, doesn't suit her. It's not helping her in any way. So like Olenna Tyrell is very selfish in that respect too. So at least for this one particular thing that you're pointing out, I could see that as being like an Olenna Tyrell move.
Let's go on to another European leader.
All right, cool.
Because I have this written down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Emmanuel Macron is Renly Baratheon.
All right. Why?
And the only justification I have is because they're both closet homosexuals.
Oh man. No. Have you seen Macron's wife? Even Donald Trump mentioned how like what a lovely figure or some other creepy shit he said about his wife.
Well,
dude is very much straight.
Dude, Renly Baratheon's wife was Marjorie.
Touche.
With Jared Kushner. Super hot wife. Doesn't mean you're not gay. Not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, no. You feel it. Yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with that. Just saying.
Touche.
I think that Renly Baratheon and Emmanuel Macron, I think they're the only option. I think that's set in stone. I think that is officially set in stone.
All right, soft yes.
Along with
soft
Baratheon,
yes.
Trump, Tywin Lannister, Putin, all that.
This is soft yes for me.
We're accomplishing a lot.
Yeah, we're getting some work done here. Yeah,
we're getting some work done because we have about 500 characters to go.
Yeah, at least.
All right, so we have next. All right, here's one I have, or we've talked about this before. Who's Theon Greyjoy? Who's Reek?
I'm Reek, not Theon. Reek.
Reek goes back into his cage. Oh, now I put down Marco Rubio.
Little Marco?
Little Marco. The reason why I said that is because Marco Rubio is kind of he personifies the establishment of the Republican Party. So I just had to, I feel like he just does things because people are like, Marco? vote on this bill. Don't vote on this bill. Try to push something crazy in that bill. Marco, remember, Marco, we own you.
Rick Rubio.
There was this really funny Onion article that came out during the election, 2016 election, and it was like crosshair pairs on Marco Rubio's head while making speech. So I guess there's some other people you could put there.
Yeah, I actually didn't write this down, but yeah, I thought about this a little earlier, and I was thinking, so I would put Theon Greyjoy as Theresa May.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. So
that's an odd one. Make your case.
Yeah. So Theon initially, he was raised by the Starks, you know, and then when he goes back to the Iron Islands, you know, he becomes like this Iron Islands nationalist, right? And you know, kind of drinks the Kool-Aid there. And this is where I start to make the comparison with Theresa May. You know, big like UK nationalist, you know, big hoopla, goes out to do some shit in the interests of the Iron Islands, right? By reaving and raping, right? And then eventually trying to take over Winterfell. Accomplishes it, but ultimately that was the cause of his castration, you know, of his ultimate downfall. To me, Theon Reek taking Winterfell was like Theresa May going for Brexit. And everything that like Theon tries to do after, you know, getting his dick cut off, you know, going through the whole thing with Ramsay Bolton, having to watch Sansa get raped by Ramsay Bolton, and then eventually escaping and going back, and then, you know, all of the shit, like he's trying to make up for it, like he's trying to do the right thing. Theon is, right? And I think at this point, Theresa May made this big mistake of Brexit and is now trying to do the right thing, but try as hard as she can. She keeps getting her ass kicked, and she keeps running away from stronger men.
I don't know. That's a little too complicated for me, Danny.
You need to expand your borders, man.
I don't make that connection with Theresa May. I mean, I guess that's a good point, but like, I just don't make the connection with her. And like, Reek is somebody who is, you know, just kind of low. It's hard for me to associate someone who has a high position of power like Theresa May with someone with.
Well, I mean, he's heir to the Iron Islands, and if we're making a looks connection, the Iron Islands are kind of like the UK.
I guess so. I guess they are kind of like the UK. Well, Westeros is kind of like the UK. I think
the whole thing.
The map is. Mm-hmm. The map is based off England.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to another. We'll get caught up on this one. All right, let's. So there's like a bunch of perverts in Game of Thrones, and there's a bunch of perverts who are politicians. So you can really pick and choose which one is which. So I wrote this one down. I didn't share it with you. I put Walter Frey as Roy Moore.
As Roy Moore?
Roy Moore.
Why? Because he's into little girls?
Because he's into like little girls.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is that fair?
Yeah, no.
Is there a better Walter Frey?
Walder with a D.
It's not Walter?
No, it's Walder with a D.
Oh. What,
Walter
do you read
Frey?
books?
Yes.
Nerd.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. Just creepy old dude. You know, relatively high office, or at least tried to be. And you know, just generally a piece of shit, you know, likes little girls. Yeah, Roy Moore. Yeah.
Here's who I had as there's so many perverts in Game of Thrones, and there's so many pervs in politics that like you could really just pick and choose your imagination right here. Mm-hmm. I wanted to find a good one for Bill Clinton.
Here we go.
And I think that Bill Clinton. So first, I put him as Craster
Okay.
Do you know the guy?
Yeah, no, he's north of the wall. Gilly's father, also Gilly's baby daddy.
But then I thought there's plenty of perverts to put in as Craster.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to make my case stronger for Cersei as Hillary Clinton, so I put him as Jaime Lannister.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I guess
all right.
Jamie Landers.
Bill Clinton is
Jamie
Lannister.
Jamie Lannister is like kind of he kind of has a charm to him.
Definitely.
But he also is like kind of a sexual deviant. Jamie Lannister has sex with his sister, which makes him a sexual deviant.
And Bill Clinton has sex with Monica Lewinsky.
And Bill Clinton has sex with everything that has a hole in it. So that makes him kind of a sexual deviant.
Hey, I mean, like, you're selling me on this, and you're going for the bonus points. But, if we're talking about him being a creep, you also have to talk about some of Jaime Lannister's, like, better qualities, too, Like, he did.
Well,
Jaime
is my favorite character
in
Throne.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character in Game of Thrones. So it's kind of hard for me politically to put him as Bill Clinton because I like Jaime and I don't like Bill.
That was very brave of you.
But I can't think of a better comparison.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Jaime
both like
Lannister.
handsome dudes, seems to be doing the right thing, even if they do some creepy shit in their past, cares a lot about their family, for sure.
I don't think Bill Clinton has ever tried doing the right thing at all, but
that's a conversation for a different podcast, maybe. But, I mean, definitely cares very much about his family and will do anything for his family. That's definitely true of Bill Clinton and of the Clintons generally.
Is that true?
For sure.
I don't know. I think we have different perceptions on the Clintons.
I think so too.
Completely. I see your perception is you think that they're just like kind of a necessary evil, and my perception of the Clintons is that they're just pure Satanist.
I mean, I liked Bill Clinton, and he did a good job as president.
I don't think he did.
In my opinion.
I mean, that's all right. Let's move on because we'll just debate on this all day.
Yeah.
All right. So Maester Pycelle, which you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, I think we've got different opinions on this one, but what's yours for Maester Pycelle?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Why Joe Biden?
He's kind of like a creepy establishment pervert.
Old dude.
Old dude.
I mean, yeah, on those merits alone, sure. I actually approached Maester Pycelle not from the creepy, disgusting, like sexual deviant that he is. I approached Maester Pycelle from his kind of political affiliations. So I put Maester Pycelle as Mitch McConnell, old turtle guy himself. And I think the reason why I did that is because, like Mitch McConnell, I think Maester Pycelle represents the corruption in the establishment. I mean, I don't think you can get more establishment than Mitch McConnell. And they've been around forever. I mean, I was reading this in the not too long ago, but I think that Maester Pycelle was Maester for at least 3. Well, if you're not counting all of the Lannister boys, he was definitely around for the guy before the Mad King, whose name I forget, the Mad King, Robert Baratheon, Joffrey, Tommen, and I think he might still be alive. I forget. He didn't die, right? Not yet.
I think he's still alive.
Yeah, they just cut his beard off. And Mitch McConnell's been around forever and has always been close to the top of politics, and it's just a snaky, swampy, old, dirty man. And they kind of
I think that is a pretty good comparison. I can't think of a better. Mitch McConnell has to be on the list, and Maester Pycelle. They're both super old. They're both just super. They personify establishment politics to the core.
Yeah.
So I can give you that one.
Cool.
But then again, if you guys think different, then let us know. All right. I don't really have anything else written down. It was the other characters were too hard for me to really set up and speak about confidently, or without like watching another season of rewatching Game of Thrones. But let's just do some quick ones, I guess.
Some funny ones.
some funny
with
ones
with no backgrounds.
with no backgrounds and no there's no thought behind them.
All right,
no
you do
prior
one, I
thought
do one,
behind
you
them.
do one, I do one. All right.
Okay. I will do. There's so many characters. All right, I'll do. The Iron Bank is the Federal Reserve.
Absolutely, 100%, without a doubt. The IMF / the Federal Reserve for sure.
Okay.
100%.
All right, that's not a character, but it's
yeah,
an
still.
institution.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you do one.
The Army of the Dead are the Mexicans.
Wait, the Army of the Dead are the Mexicans?
Yeah.
I thought they were the
Wildlings. Or the Wildlings. Either way, we built a wall. We're building a wall, or built a wall to try to keep them out.
Yeah, I guess there's no other thing. Well, to keep, I guess, yeah, yeah. You had one for the Red Lady.
Oh, the Red Woman, Melisandre, Kellyanne Conway, baby.
I don't really have any objections to that for some reason.
I just think she's like, like a snaky kind of person, and she's definitely of not great moral compass, and just kind of whispers in the ears of kings. Sometimes it means burning people down, and sometimes it means bringing people back from the dead. And I think Kellyanne Conway does a good job of both.
Okay, here's another one. The Unsullied are Hezbollah.
Okay.
It's like a super disciplined militia group.
Okay, I see that. Rachel Maddow is Brienne of Tarth.
Why? Because they both have short haircuts?
No. Well, yes, but no. I just see Rachel Maddow as like, super loyal to her causes. And a big trope of Brienne of Tarth is that she keeps her oaths. And I feel like Rachel Maddow is keeping her liberal oaths in that respect.
Oh, I don't agree with you on that one. I think Rachel Maddow is one that flew off the cuckoo's nest. She's out the Alex Jones of the left. I don't know if she's keeping her oath or keeping her oath to be loyal to the Democratic Party or what, but I think that she's just kind of a kook. I can't think of somebody for Rachel Maddow. Who's kooky in Game of Thrones?
I mean, who isn't kooky in Game of Thrones?
But who's like their main MO is just like a kook?
I don't know. We'll have to think of it.
It could be Alex Jones or her, or maybe there's two contradicting characters that hate each other.
Yeah,
Speaking of contradicting characters, the Night King
Is George Soros.
George Soros.
The globalists are the Night Walkers.
He's got time crystals.
The globalist and the space-time continuum, laser guns and the vampire pedophiles.
I think that those are. I think that would be a good Night Walker. The globalists are like this. They symbolize the impending doom of the world, right?
Yeah. All right.
At
How
least
about
the way some people speak about them?
How about the Second Sons or the Golden Company, the sellswords in Essos? They're just like military defense contractors in the military-industrial complex.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I can't think of anything else. I'm trying to remember who those characters are, to be completely honest.
So the Second Sons, do you know
I
Dario
gotcha.
Naharis, right?
I gotcha.
And the Golden Company is who Euron Greyjoy just went across the sea to go get for this season. So the Golden Company will make an appearance this season. Yeah.
That's cool. That should be joyous.
Yes.
They got rid of the guy who played the blonde hair, the blonde hair guy. Who's
Dario Naharis. Yeah.
He was the first actor. I'm just gonna make a comment real quick about the first actor.
He looked
that
weird.
guy was super good looking, and they replaced him with kind of like
The first guy, the second guy's way hotter than the first guy, and Yeah, that's case in point.
Dude, are you nuts?
Nah.
The first guy's way hotter.
All right, no, we got to put up a picture of both of them right now, side by side comparison of Dario Naharis. Tell us in the comment section. I don't care if you're straight or gay. Who's the more attractive of the two?
Yeah, it's definitely the first actor.
No,
I think
the
the guy
second one.
who also played the bad guy in Deadpool.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he's a British actor, like all of them. All right, let's see who else is on the list. Why don't you throw me one, and I'll see if I can come up with one off the dome.
Okay. Mance Rayder.
Mance Rayder. Mance Rayder. Well, there's actually like a libertarian podcaster who goes by the name Mance Rayder, who was like a pretty big following, but I just think of him. But let's see, Mance Rayder.
I actually think I got one.
Mance Rayder to me is like Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. See,
Steve Bannon.
I don't know. I got one, and I don't think you're going to like it because you like this person. Maybe you will like it. Who knows? Mance Rayder, in my opinion, is Ron Paul. And I'll tell you why. Because Ron Paul is a hardcore libertarian, and all he wants is freedom. Freedom from government, freedom from, all the things that libertarians like. And Mance Rayder and the Wildlings are basically just a bunch of libertarians when you think about it, right? They don't kneel to kings. They don't pay taxes. They do what they like, and they just live in. And Ron Paul, I think, is a big character. If you were to pick the king of, the king beyond the wall, so to speak, the king of the libertarians, I think Ron Paul would be a good choice for that.
Yeah, I guess Mance Rayder, he chose Mance Rayder because maybe he was on to the same thing that you're on, because he's kind of like a libertarian figure in Game of Thrones. So maybe that's what he was on to as well. I agree with you on that. I think that was actually a really good comparison.
Cool.
All right, let's see. All right, Karth. Remember that city, Karth?
Of course. Not Quarth, but Karth.
Karth. That's Riyadh?
Riyadh, yeah, for sure.
That's definitely Riyadh.
Uh-huh.
And the guy, the black dude is Mohammed bin Salman.
Really?
I don't know. Is there a better MBS?
Nah, I don't
Maybe
want to.
we shouldn't use up MBS.
We should keep MBS for another episode because I can't think of a really good one for MBS, and I don't want to waste him on the black guy in Karth.
Yeah, he's too much of a minor character.
Yeah.
All right. The Dothraki or ISIS?
Sure. Yeah.
Who's called Drago?
Drogo?
Correct me. Drogo.
Well, does it
Ayatollah
have to be
Khomeini?
the leader of ISIS? Because then that limits
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make him the leader of ISIS.
Okay, so Drogo, I don't know. I'm going to have to take a pass on that one for now.
Yeah. Somebody Middle Eastern.
I mean, he could be MBS.
Maybe. No, he can't be MBS.
What? I mean,
Drogo's
I
too
love
cool.
Drogo, too. He was my favorite character before he died. So.
Drogo's way too cool. It's got to be a cool character. You got to respect Aquaman.
Yeah.
All right. Who do we get on here? Right, we got the Hound.
The Hound.
He could be Steve Bannon.
Why?
I don't know. Looks.
Does not look like Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon has kind of a crusty face.
Steve Bannon is a small, pudgy, disgusting-looking man. But I'll give you that he does have a crusty-looking face. So,
all right, I'm going back to my list.
Well, I tell you what.
All right,
Look.
here's what I got.
All right, go ahead. Shoot. We'll make this the last one then.
All right, we're at
just over an hour, but
okay,
with
perfect.
editing,
We'll end it with this bombshell.
Yeah.
Tommen Baratheon is Barack Obama.
See, I saw you wrote that, and I don't know why. Explain.
I think that Barack Obama went in to his presidency with a level of naiveness to what the presidency was, and he kind of got swept in it, and that's why he made a lot of the decisions that he made, especially foreign policy wise, that were very, very contradicting to what he campaigned on. Unless you can think of another character like that who in Game of Thrones.
I mean, my politics disagrees with you, and the same hardcore stance that you took against Hillary Clinton, I'd have to take against putting Barack Obama as Tommen. That's, in my opinion, too minor a character for Barack Obama. Regardless if you like him or not, that's just too minor a character. Barack Obama was huge for the world, whether you like him or not. Huge. So I just don't see that. And I disagree with your impressions that his naivete caused him to do bad things. I think that I think he had his hands bound at a certain juncture in his presidency when the Republicans took over the House and Senate, and they basically prevented him from doing anything, good or bad. I mean, for God's sakes, look at Merrick Garland. He never ended up on the Supreme Court because they were just like, nah, we're not voting on that. Fuck that. Fuck you. So I don't know. He couldn't get a whole lot done. Notwithstanding, I don't think that Tommen holds the gravitas that Barack Obama had, like him or not. So I disagree.
All right, fine. We'll find someone else for Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
If this episode is successful, then we'll find someone else.
Otherwise, we're never doing this again.
Yeah, unless we're never doing this again, and you can just scratch all of it out. All right, I can't think of anyone else. There's just way too many characters in Game of Thrones. But if this show does well, we'll probably come back to this with a more professional approach to it, and we'll try to map out the characters that we have.
Yeah, we'll recap them all again. Yeah,
we'll recap them all, the ones that are set in stone. And we'll go over characters that are requested, and we'll go over characters. If this show was good, if you enjoyed what this take on this kind of a test podcast of Game of Thrones characters compared to world leaders, then we'll keep on doing these because I mean it's a fun activity, and we're both huge Game of Thrones fans, so it's less of a chore than researching, fucking Libya.
Or the war in Yemen.
Yeah, or the war in Yemen. So it's fun doing these episodes, but let us know what you like. Also, make sure that you, should have mentioned this in the beginning, that you rate and review the podcast if you're listening on the audio version. And if you are watching it, then like and subscribe.
And join the comment section.
And join the comment section.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think. If you think that we got a character wrong, let us know. If you think that we're both douchebags, most people are pretty they feel pretty welcoming in doing that. So feel free to do it as well. And rate and review the podcast, as I mentioned again. And also, I have a Twitter now. I had a Twitter for years. I never actually used it. And then I was speaking to Jose Nino, who's been on the show a couple times, and he's like, "What are you doing without a Twitter? No one's gonna take you seriously." Not in those words, obviously, but so I'm on the tweet game. So you can find me at Henry Zamota, my full name.
We'll put a link to it in the YouTube subscription.
Interact with me.
Yeah.
And follow me, and I put out tweets about stuff sometimes. Usually they're just GIFs of wrestling. All right.
All right.
Peace.
What is dead may never die.